So I encountered a pasuk in Mishlei, which kind of blew me away completely. It took me a little time to figure out what the Gra was saying, because really to understand this Gra, you have to really know Sefer Daniel very well. And although it's my name, but I never really learned it well, it's a Sefer in Aramaic. It's a little bit hard to learn. It's not like the normal Sefer of Tanakh. Translation to Hebrew, it could be good. I always like to learn in the original. So I got hold of Sefer Daniel and Perek Zion and with the Malbim, and I actually set it up for you here. I'm not sure we're going to even have enough time to see the Gra today, but really the Gra is telling us very, very deep ideas about how we can have a major part in bringing Mashiach today and how the process will take place, right? And after you learn the Psukim of Daniel and you read the Gra, you just say, incredible, like how much insight the Chachamim had into what is going to transpire in Achos HaYamim. So let's jump down a little bit. These first Marmakomos are important. We'll get to them a little later. Just a quick synopsis, and then we'll try to see some of it inside. Right? Daniel is most famous for his dreams, and in this particular dream, which is a nevuah, a prophecy, so he has dreams about 4 different animals, and these 4 animals represent the 4 Goliaths. And especially interesting to us is going to be the last one, which we're in now for 2,000 years, Galus Edom, and how the Malbim really develops what is going on here. So let's just see very quickly these psukim as much as we can, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see the Gra. If not, we'll do it next week. The Gra starts. The Daniel starts out here in Pasuk Aleph. Daniel was the first year of the reign of Belshazzar. And the Malbim points out that whenever a Navi wrote something down, first he would speak out, he would say the entire story of what happened, the revelation to him, right? And so let's jump here now. There's a few very, very important point here from the Malbim. The Malbim says, first of all, the 4 Malchis of Galus are represented by the 4 directions winds of the world. But the 4 Goliaths are all happening at the same time. The fact, the four Goliaths, the 4 diasporas that we had were Bavel, Parsa, Madai, Yavin, and Edom now, right? And they're all basically happening simultaneously. Each one represents a different power, tug, Yetzer Hara in the world. And each one is a different battle, right? And each period of history, the main focus was one on one of these battles, but really they're all happening all at the same time. And right now we know we're in Galus Edom. That's been for the past 2,000 years. But at the same time, we mentioned that I think a few weeks ago, maybe it was months ago, in the beginning of the war with Russia, Moshe Sternbach has a direct Maseira from the Vilna Gaon that when the Russians go into Crimea, then it's the bells of Mashiach. And when they enter Istanbul, put on Yontif clothing. So Rev Eli Ber Vogel, as soon as the Russians went into Crimea, he put on his Yontif clothing. He was getting ready. I don't know if he took it off yet. Someone asked me that today. I said maybe. I hope he washed it. It's been a little while. But the point is that I once asked Rav Sternbach, I said, my high, because the Russians go into Crimea, that means it's the Belz Mashiach. He said that the Malach, he said the Russians are Prasim Madai. We have Masura from the Gra that the Russians are Prasim Madai. And when they invade, the Gra understood when they invade these certain areas, that means that they're at their peak, right? And the Masura is that the Gula will involve a strengthening of this Gullus, right? When the Gullus comes, and we'll see how that plays itself out in these psukim, right? So we see that at one point we're in Gullus Edom, right? Prasam Madai, which is the second Gullus, is re-happening, right? And we're going to see that Yishmael is going to play a very big part in this as well. Okay, so let's go through this dream, and we'll see some very interesting things here. Let's jump really to Pasuk Dalet here, right? It says here, Kadmisa Ka'aryeh, Begofen Dinesha, right? It was a lion with wings on it. Something, what was that book? A Wrinkle in Time? a line with wings on it. Like, what is that all about, right? So says the Malbim explains here, the lion is Bavel, right? This was the dominion of Bavel. And why wings? Oh, first the lion, because they conquered the whole world, right? And the first gullus and the third gullus is a Nemer, and they both have wings. They both conquer the world very quickly, right? And that's the idea of a lion with wings and a leopard with wings. The leopard is a little bit more brazen than the lion. That was Yavan, Alexander the Great, and the first one is Bavel, and they both have wings because they conquered very quickly. The second one, as we said, was Prasamade. That's a bear, right? And now, if you skip now to Pasuk Zion, right? So that's the fourth animal. So it says there, Ba'asar dana chazi chayvusa, an animal b'chazi laila, right? Revius techayel ve'imtne tekifi yisera v'shandi parsley. It was like a very ferocious beast, and had teeth of iron, right? And it had 10 horns on it, right? It had 10 horns on it, right? Right. Bakarni Estela. Right. So the mom explains here, we don't even know what this last animal it is. That Daniel doesn't tell us, right? But it's talking about Malchus Roimi, and Malchus Roimi we know is Edom, and Edom is the Christian religion, right? And says Daniel, and we see the Gra strengthen that at the end of days, which we're in right now, that Christianity will have a rulership over the world. Yeah, they will all the major superpowers will be dominated by that religion, right? And there'll be 10 major superpowers. This is what Daniel is saying. And those 10 countries will have basically a rulership, over the world. Which 10 they are, I don't know. If you're American, obviously one of them is America, because America is the best country in the whole world. Whoever's from there, whoever's not, they should think that way. But in any event, and New York, like the map of New York is like this, and then Atlanta with the Coca-Cola, right? So the point is that this is what Daniel is saying, that in the end of days, Edom will have a dominion through 10 countries all throughout the world, right? And their power is represented by this iron teeth. So now, next pasuk says like this. And again, this is all a backdrop for the Gra. We'll understand this, and we'll understand major points about Mashiach and what's going on today. So the pasuk says like this: Mishatachol chaves b'karne ve'elu keren achrei zira salka b'neim. What happened? So you can just imagine, if we have a picture here, right, or like a movie, we have a 10-horned beast, and from the head suddenly grows out one horn. And that one horn knocks out 3 horns, right? You have a 10-horn beast, and one horn, small, pops up and knocks out 3 horns. You take these cars, if you wish. Okay? So that's what happened there. So what's the deeper meaning of this? Oh, and continues, right? And that one horn, it had a mouth and had eyes, right? It had a mouth and had eyes. Now again, it's a dream, it's symbolic, but it's a nuvo of Hashem, it's a prophecy, right? So you have a 10-horned beast, which we don't even know what it is. It's very ferocious with iron teeth, and it has 10 horns. And suddenly one very small horn comes out. It has eyes and a mouth, and that knocks out 3 of the horns. So what's going on there? So the Malbim explains like this. It's at the bottom, right? This one horn is Malchus Yishmael, right? Because Malchus Yishmael, the Gra explains, the Malbim explains, is that within the dominion of Edom, somehow Ishmael is born, as maybe a rebellion to Edom or a response to Edom, right? So coming from the culture of Edom, Ishmael is born, right? And Ishmael is represented by this one horn, right? Now all the horns represent power, right? So the power of Ishmael, at the end of days, the power of Ishmael is going to knock out a third of Edom, They're going to demolish a third of Edom, right? And they're going to be the most vocal of all the powers of the world. That's represented by the horn, with the eyes represent Chochmah, says the Malbim, wisdom, and the horn and the mouth represents being very vocal, right? And they're going to knock out a third of Edom, right? And that's going to be the beginning of the end, as we'll see, right? But I mean, I don't follow the news so closely.
Most of the,
what's that?
Who's they? Who is the one who's going to be knocking out Edom?
Ishmael. Ishmael, right? This one small horn which has eyes and a mouth, right? So if you look here in the Malbim on Pasuk Ches, Malchus right? Malchus Ishmael she nichlelis b'Malchus Roma yakolelis. It's included in all of them. She nifradim imimshalis is part of the shlosh chelki deos b'amuna. Shem das Mechamed. Okay. Vayesh chaluki deos ben asher esav shnuyim. And then he says, V'yesh makam lefarish shakeren zire romez al Mechamed. It's talking about just about Ishmael, right? Okay. Shakeren zira hazu lo yidmel yeser kronos she'elam peh ve'nayim v'kolcham b'negichas levad. Right. The other horns they just have power in their strength, but this has the eyes are seichel and chochma, and the peh is actually say things against Hashem. Right. So based on what the Malbim is saying, the Arabs, Ishmael, are going to come out against Hashem, come out against Hashem, and that's going to cause their downfall. Now, if you just look at for a moment at the top of the Mar Makomos, I brought here some Divrei Chazal from the Chidah. It's from the Chidah. One second, no, even before that, from the Medrash. From the Medrash and Bereish, that's the first Mar Makom, right? It says like this. Ad shelo, the last line in the Medrash. Ad shelo pashat yoru b'beis hamikdash yishkan. Kivan shepashat bada yafel. Right? The downfall of Edom is going to be twofold. I'm sorry, of Ishmael. Number one, the first thing they did. Well, what did they do right? First of all, what they did right, the Malbim explains, they have bris milah. Bris milah gives them a right to be here in Israel. Ishmael, Ishmael is Ishmael. And number two, that's what they did right. What did they wrong? First thing is they took the Makom HaMikdash. That's going to be their downfall, number one. And number two is that their big mouth. Yeah, their big mouth. Now, like I was saying before, my news is not such. I don't have I don't watch the news or read newspapers. But the sources that I'm hearing from, they say right now, Iran, which is definitely Ishmael, they're saying that we have the bomb basically, and we're gonna wipe out Eretz Yisrael, right? And we're going to see that those type of statements are going to be their destruction. They're going to be the destruction of Ishmael, and they're going to be the binyan, the Yeshua for Klal Yisrael, as we're going to see. Okay, maybe while we're here, just look at this Baal Term, incredible Baal Term. The pasuk at the end of Chayei Sarah, as I quote here, "V'yishkenu machavilo ad shor asher al pnei Mitzrayim." Right, this is when Yishmael died. Right, and it says al pnei kol achav nafel. Yishmael, it means he was buried. The Eila told us Yitzhak ben Avram, and it says the Baal Turim, most incredible Baal Turim in the whole Torah. Al Pnei Kol Agdafel, v'Samach Leila told us Yitzhak, Lo Melecha Kishibel Yishmael B'Achas Hayamim, as Yitzhak ben David Shmi told us Yitzhak. When is Mashiach going to come? When Yishmael falls, right? So it's basically holding back Mashiach from coming right now, or holding it back, or like the benchmark, as it were, for Mashiach to come, is that Yishmael is going to fall, and as soon as Yishmael falls, then Mashiach is going to come. Yeah. Now, from the Baal Turim, though, it could be it's just coincidental, maybe. This one falls and this one rises. Chazal tell us about Yishmael, about Edom and Yisrael. Right? That when Esav is up, then Klal Yisrael is down. They don't tell us about such a reciprocal relationship between Yishmael. We're going to see that's very important. The way that we're acting now has to counter Yishmael, and that's what's going to bring the Gula. So let's just see a few more psukim to understand what is going on, because I don't think we could stop in the middle here. And then you have the whole parak. You look at the end of the parak at your own time. We're going to get up to Pasuk Yud Gimel. It's very enlightening things here from the Malbim. Okay, so that was Pasuk Ches. This one small horn with a mouth and eyes is going to knock out a third of Edom. Yishmael is going to knock out a third of Edom. And then what's the next step? Pasuk Tes. Right. Chazi Havis Adikars and Ramin Atik Yamim Yasur Levushe Kitlei Kor. The Malbim says Atik Yamim means Hashem. Atik means removed from Yom time. Hashem is removed from time. He's wearing white, which is Midas Chesed, but underneath his throne is fire. So Hashem sits on a throne dressed in white. This is all Daniel's dream. Yeah, pasuk test. Dressed in white, and under his throne is fire. This represents the duality of Hashem, Chesed, and Din. Right? As the Malbim says, Halavushim mitzayin and espulas bamidos. Hashem's midos are represented by his, as it were, his dress. Right? Varosh mitzayin machshava, vasiris mitzayin hisbakus talumos machshava l'chutz. The hair represents coming things into fruition. So it says that Atik Yamin has white hair, right? Atik Yamin is a term in Kabbalah for like the highest manifestation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. And he had white clothing and white hair. That means there's a tremendous flow of chesed going to come out from HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
But we don't meant to see Hashem in those things.
This is all a dream. It's representation. And again, it's a very good point. It doesn't mean that Hashem has white hair, and sits on a throne of fire. But it's shown to Daniel in such a way because this gives us a better understanding of how Hashem is going to act in the Akros HaYamim, right? So that's the white clothing and the white hair. Okay, right. So he said, "Is raks dakav rachmim shezeh mitzayv b'mara lavan hepech Edom din v'shvichas damim." Edom represents bloodshed and killing, and that's the Aish under the throne, right? It's reserved for Edom and the Rishayim. Okay, let's jump to pasuk Yud. This is really important pasuk here. Right? This is where the Gra is going to be built on this pasuk. It says like this: Chazi haviz be'idin min kal malya ravise, dikarnu malya. It means that the horn is going to reach its maximum volume. Right? It's going to say we're going to blow Israel up off the map tomorrow. Apparently, that's what they're saying. This is what the Arabs are saying now. Hadi katlis chiyusa v'huvad gashme. So this is going to cause, that statement that they're making is going to cause the death of this beast, which is Edom, which they're sprouting out from Edom, right? Right. Right. Says the Malbim here, their main transgression of Yishmael, it's a little surprising, is their big mouth, right? Hanichta b'sram kol dvarim agadolim shaker medaber, right? Their loud volume and threats to destroy the Jewish people, right? To destroy Eretz Israel and all the populace here, that's going to be their downfall, right? And he says here at the end, "Urisa mishpatu al yidei ketilas chiyusa b'notel koach Yishmael uboged hubad gishma." They are going to cause not only their own demise, but the demise of Edom as well. Okay. Let's just do one more pasuk here, and then we'll turn to the Gra. Right? Pasuk Yud Gimel. Chazi Havis Chazi Laila. Va'aru Anani. These Anani represent the clouds, right? Bar Enosh. So a man walks out from an Atik Yamin. V'kadmei Kruvi. Right? 1 second. So maybe I skipped it here. Yud Beis. Right. Right. Oh, Kabar Enosh, right. So we'll come out of this. A person will come out of all this. Right. And I have it as underlined here. Malchus Hashem Tavai de Achshala B'Taras Hashem V'Osim Mitzvasos Shem Yuchas Leben Adam Maskel. Right. So what's going to happen? The Malbim is saying, right? There's going to be the death of this fourth animal, including the horn, which is Yishmael, right? And what's going to happen? The death will be caused, and this is going to come out from the fact Haskalah b'Toras Hashem v'Mitzvaysav Shemiuchad Leben Adam Hamaskil. The Klal Yisrael is going to be involved with Torah mitzvahs and tefillah, right? And that will cause this final beast, which is Edom, to be destroyed, right? Right? You look here in the Malbim. Right. And that's what it says. Right. In other words, it's going to be like a direct correlation here. Yishmael is going to act in this one way. Klal Yisrael is going to act in the exact opposite way, and that will bring the Gula. That's how the Gula is going to happen. So now let's look at the Gra. We learned this. Again, I recommend take these sheets home and look at the rest of the psukim. It's very, very important things here. But let's look at Pasuk Yud Gimel, and then we'll see Pasuk Yud Beis will shed a few more light on what we're saying here. Okay. So now, when you learn this parak of Daniel, and you see the Gra, like it's mind-boggling. It's like how he's able to put this whole parak into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words. 7 words of Mishlei, and the Gra puts this whole thing, and he reveals how the Gula is going to take place. Look at this. Pasuk Yom, we all have the Sefer here. It's on page Kuf Nen Vav. It's not in this, it's this, it's in the blue Sefer of Mishlei. This was just a handout today. Okay. I put on the sheet, but it's not yet in the computer, this page of the Gra. Right? It's on page Kuf Nun Vav, Perek Yud Beis, Pasuk Yud Gimel. This is like just mind-boggling how the Gra did this. So, let's just translate the Pasuk first. But Peshas Vasayim Mokish Ra. From the transgression of the mouth, evil will be trapped. But Yotzi Mitzar Tzadik. Right? Do you have it there? It's Perek Yud Beis, Pasuk Yud Gimel. From the transgression of the mouth, the evil will be trapped. V'yotzi mitzar tzaddik, and the tzaddik will come out of the sorrow. So first we'll see the pashup shot, and then we'll see how it's connected to what we just learned here. Yeah, look at this. What does it mean? What's the pashup shot in the pasuk? Yeah, pesha svasaya mokeshra. The Gra says, "Sharotze lasos roal chavero hu orav olav." Somebody who really wants to hurt his friend, what does he do? He stalks him to know like the right time to get him, how to do it, and to trick him or whatever. And then he does the ra. So how does Hashem save this innocent guy who is being stalked? Hashem makes this Russia reveal something with his mouth. B'yigale shirotzi lasos ra. Umachla yotzi yitzar mitzad. So the pasuk in this pasuk is when a Russia wants to hurt a tzaddik, he's planning exactly like how to get the guy. He has it all worked out. Something comes out of his mouth unplanned, like spontaneous, and the tzaddik figures out and he's saved. This is the derech. This is how Hashem runs the world. That's the pasuk shot. Says the Gra now like this. Whenever he says Inyan, it's always explaining that there's a mashal and nimshal. Excuse me. Kamosha Kasef Daniel, what we just learned. Be'eluch yuravia techayla. That's the fourth beast. The pas michlo ravan. That is the horn. The one horn which we said is Yishmael has a big mouth and is like shouting out things which are against Hashem, right? What's going to be the destruction of Yishmael? It's because from their statements they're making, like we're going to blow up the entire country of Israel. That is going to cause them to be destroyed. Why? Because when a Russia makes such statements, that's a sign of his downfall, right? That's a sign that he's going to fall. That's what the pasuk is telling us here, right? Be'eden min kal malya ravise, right? Right? V'zeh b'pesher sayim mokesh ra, v'yotzim mitzar tzaddik. So then the gula, the tzaddik is going to come out of that. K'mosh chazvar kach, chazi havis kabar enosh rachas. Sorry, ata. Who va'adatik yamin mad. Who Mashiach, says the Gra. Who's that bar enosh that we saw in Pasuk Gimel? Who is that person? That's Mashiach, right? Ashu achshav b'tzara b'cherpa b'avonasenu. Mashiach is right now amongst us. Yeah, Mashiach is somewhere here in Eretz Yisrael, in the world, somewhere. Yeah, what's stopping him from revealing himself? The Gemara in heaven says, in every generation Mashiach is here. We just have to. But what's stopping Mashiach from revealing himself is our averas, right? V'chorv b'avanosav ukashi katiluch yusur avisa as yotze mitzara hatzadik. The tzaddik will come out of the tzara. Now, let's try to understand here. The Gra told us the mashal and the Gra told us the nimshal. Now, it's interesting because the mashal itself is a nimshal. But the Gra said in the beginning that when a tzaddik is being pursued to be killed, so in the schus of the tzaddik's actions, yeah, Hashem is going to make the Rasha be nichshel in his dibur and he's going to be saved. the tzaddik will be saved like that. So the big mouth of the Rasha, yeah, in the schus of the tzaddik, the big mouth of the Rasha is going to cause his own downfall. So what is the Gra saying about the Tekufa that we're in now, the Tekufa Achrona, right, in Golas Edom, when Yishmael is so powerful, right? They are going to make very boisterous and very violent statements like they're doing now, right? Again, is this the Gula? We need schuyos for that. That's what the Malbim tells us. We need to be marbin Torah and mitzvahs, and especially things that have to do with our dibor. We see how much the Gula is related to dibor, right? Because to fight the dibor of Yishmael that they're making now, we have to be mechazik in our dibor. Like it says, Yitzhak said, when Yaakov came to take the brother, he says, "Kol Yaakov Yadayin De'esav." The power of Klal Yisrael is in their dibur. Kol Yaakov, the dibur of our Torah and the dibur of our Tefillah and Shmir Salashin and Tilim, whatever we're doing with our dibur, that's going to cause the death and destruction of Yishmael, right? And that's pshat of this pasuk, right? Yishmael in the schus of the tzaddik. Now the tzaddik, Hashem always works mida k'neged mida, measure for measure. If the tzaddik is being saved by dibur, that means that he must have a special schus in dibur, a special merit in dibur, which is giving him the right, the power, as it were, to destroy the Rasha through the Rasha's own dibur. Right? So the special koach of dibur, the special power of Klal Yisrael, as the Malbim explained, in their Torah, in their Tefillah, in their speech, in their Shmir Salosh, in their Tilim, right? That power, that energy is going to battle, as it were, in the Achos Yamim, right? The statements of Yishmael, which they're making to destroy the entire Jewish people, and that's going to bring the Mashiach, right? That is the tshuva that Hashem is waiting for, right? Because that's what the Gra is saying here. Hashem the Mashiach is right here amongst us somewhere right now, but he can't come, right? He can't come because what's stopping him, what's stopping Mashiach from coming is our averas, right? We have to do tshuva, right? And we do tshuva, especially in Inyani Dibur. Chavetz Chaim spent a good part of his life organizing and clarifying the halachas of Shmir Salashin, because that is the key to the Gula. The key to Gula, the Gra is revealing here, and the Chavetz Chaim said, and the Malbim is saying, is to be very, very careful about how we speak, right? The more careful we are about how we speak, that is going to be the key to bringing the Gula, right? So now let's just see the whole Gra again, because it's so incredibly powerful here, right? Again, the Gra said here in Yud Gimel, and then we're going to see Yud Beis, and we're going to see how it is so hidden today, what's really going on. So listen to this. But Pesas Vasayim Mokashra, right? The transgression of the lips, the evil is trapped, right? Sharotzi lasos ra, if a Rasha wants to do evil to a tzaddik, lechavero, who oribalav b'chtei shelo yad chavero, so his friend shouldn't know. Va'achakach osera, and then he does the evil. How, and this is to a tzaddik, how does HaKadosh Baruch Hu take this ra away? HaKadosh Baruch Hu osa shenichshel b'svasav, v'yigal sharotzi lasos ra. Right? Hashem makes the Rasha stumble in his words. Stumble in his words. So through the mouth of the Rasha itself meets his own demise. And that's how the tzaddik is saved, right? As we said, it's always minik and mida. The tzaddik must have a schuz in dibur in order for the Rasha to fall in dibur. That is the mashal. The nimshal now says the grown va'inyan is like we learned previously in Sefer Daniel about the four animals, which are the four gulias. We're in the fourth one now, which is Edom, which is a 10-horned beast, represent 10 countries, which are the strongest holdouts of Edom. They will be destroyed somewhat by Yishmael, which is represented by a small horn with a mouth and eyes. Right, that small horn will come out, right, and it will speak very, very blasphemous things. We learned from the Medrash that also taking the Makom HaMikdash and threatening to destroy the entire Jewish people, those actions and words will be their downfall, right? How is that, right? Peshas svasayim mokesh ra v'yotzi mitzara tzadik, right? Like it says afterwards, right? Kabar enosh hu ba'ad atik yomim mata, right? Says the Gra, that's Mashiach. In the schus of us strengthening ourselves in the way we speak, in our Torah, in our mitzvahs, in Tilim, whatever we do with our mouth, how we talk to people, saying good morning to people, whatever mitzvahs we do with our dibur, that is going to be cause is the most powerful weapon we could use against Ishmael during a time when they're threatening us with their dibur, all the destruction that they're threatening, and that's how Mashiach will be born. How does that happen? Right? Says the Gra, Ashu Achshav Bitzara, Becherbo and Seno. Mashiach is here right now amongst us. He's being held back by our averes. Right? The Chavetz Chaim explains, every time a person says Lashon Hara, it goes up to Shamayim and it like stops the Gula from coming. Right? You're like making one more wall for the Gula to come. Right? And every time a person holds back from Lashon Hara, you're breaking one wall away. Right? There's many walls have been erected, and that's why Mashiach can't come. And that's Asher B'tzarach Arvasenu, Ukasher Yikatilas Chiyus Rabia. When the fourth animal is killed, Az Yotze Mashiach. Mitzar Tzaddik. Mashiach will come out. Now, what's very, very fascinating over here is that this relationship between Ishmael and between Edom, right? It seems like the death of this beast of Edom is going to come through Ishmael. In other words, each one has their own issues, right? If you look here on the top of the page, I brought from the Chidah. The Chidah says something very fascinating. He's going and explaining this Malbim, right? We said in this Malbim, an incredible idea. The Malbim says from the end of Parshas Chayesara to the beginning of Parshas told us that Mashiach will come when Yishmael falls, right? That's why Parshas Chayesara ends with the death and fall of Yishmael, and Parshas told us begins with Ada told us Yitzchak, and the Malbim says here, you can look at it, not the Malbim, the Baal Term says that Lo Melachak Sheyipol Yishmael B'achas Hayamim Yitzchak ben David. Shemi told us Yitzchak, right? We see Yishmael is going to fall. How is Yishmael going to fall? They're going to fall through their dibur, through their taking of the Makom HaMikdash, and through their dibur. Yeah. So explains the Chidah now. If you look at this, say for next one, Chidri Betan, he says Yishmael is the Yamin, the Psul Yamin, right? And Edom is the Psul Small, right? Avram was Chesed. Chesed is very good midas, but there's a Psolos of Chesed. Bad things came out, right? Ishmael is the psolis, as it were, of Chesed, the way they act, and Edom is the psolis of Din, right? Edom, they're very into killing. Ishmael, they're into their own things, whatever they're osig with, right? These two powers, Ishmael and Edom, they're going to act simultaneously. That's what the Daniel is telling us. That Ishmael is sprouting out from the culture of Edom. Right, Ishmael is born. It's in one hand, it's a rebellion a little bit against Edom, but it's still psolis. In other words, it's not really Klal Yisrael. There's a Rosh Yeshiva, Reb Daniel Lehrfeld. He once told me an incredible idea. He said, "Why is Yishmael want us to die so much? Like every week you hear this terrorist attack, that terrorist, what do they want from our lives? So he said, brilliant. And he has a riot to this from Rabbeinu Chaya, right? Ishmael holds that they are really the progenitors. They are the inheritors of Avraham Avinu, right? Avraham had two children. His firstborn was Ishmael. Ishmael says, and if you read the Quran, which you shouldn't because it's like, this is going online, right? There's a lot of inconsistencies between that and Tanakh, Mev and Yavan, but the point is that they hold that they are really the Masar of Avraham Avinu, right? They hold they're really Klal Yisrael. We just finished with Ramadan now. What's Ramadan? Ramadan, they hold that Yishmael is really dedicated to heaven with Yishmael, etc., right? They hold that they are really the inheritors of Avram. And it's the same thing with Edom. Yeah, Edom also believes, right? It's a true Masera, right? Is through them. So we have Yishmael on the right and Edom on the left, right? And these two powers, for the past 2,000 years, have been influencing us and pushing us, right? The way we act, the way we speak, especially the way we speak and the way we act. And this is what the Daniel and the Gra are telling us. Ba'achos Hayamim, which it seems like we're in right now, right? There's going to be an upsurgence of the power of Yishmael, especially in the way they speak, right? Especially in the violence of the way they speak, right? And it's going to cause some destruction to Edom, yeah? And that's going to cause, in fact, the full destruction of Edom. The beast, which is the fourth Galus, is of Edom, right? The upsurgence of Yishmael in their deeper and blasphemous talk against the Jewish people, that's going to cause the downfall of Edom as well. How is that going to happen exactly? Okay, we could all use our imaginations. I'm not really sure, but this is the description of Achos Yamin. And says the Gra, from all this is going to come out Mashiach, right? And that's what the Baal Term is saying as well. The fall of Edom and the fall of Ishmael, is going to cause the sprouting Mashiach, right? And the Gra is being ramiz to us over here that the same Avera which brought them down is going to bring us up, right? A person, and this is what Rav Segal and Manchester used to say, right? All Yeshuas can come through Smear Salashon, right? Smear Salashon, and we know Tefillah, Torah, all of these things that we are doing with our mouth, but especially Shmer Salashon, right? That is going to be the antidote, as it were, to Ba'achos HaYomim, to the blasphemous talk of Yishmael, as they say over and over again, they're going to totally wipe us out. Yeah, the way we can combat them is by not saying Lashon Hara and davening as much as we can, learning Torah as much as we can, right? And this you see from the first part of the Gra, right? The tzaddik is saved in the schus of his speech from the evils, through the evils. The evil speech of the Rasha causes his own downfall, and that's the mashal. In the nimshal, that's going to be Yishmael and Achros HaYamim saying blasphemous statements like they're going to blow up the whole state of Israel. And that statements within the framework of the tzaddik being careful through his dibur is going to cause the destruction of Yishmael, in turn cause the destruction of Edom, and Mashiach is going to sprout out from that, right? Because the Gra is saying, what's holding back Mashiach now? What's holding back Mashiach is our Averas, and specifically Averas of Dibur. The Chavetz Chaim revealed the main purpose he wrote his Sefer is because the goal is being caused by Sinus Chinam, and Sinus Chinam is most prominently expressed through Dibur, right? Saying things about people and talking about people and making inappropriate statements about people, right? That's the Sinus Chinam. The Dibur, control over your Dibur, is the secret to the Gula, right? And it's the antidote and the trufa. There's a lot of talk here in Eretz Yisrael. Let's do a preemptive strike. Let's blow them up. Let's cause World War III, etc., etc., etc. Whatever it is, it's all a load of rubbish. It's not going to help, and it's not going to do anything. Really, what is going to help is being careful about the way we speak. Yeah, because we see from here, we see the power of Yishmael ba'achas hayamim. Sorry, the power. The horn, says the Malbim, represents their power. They will empower themselves through their speech, through their threats, through their violence. That's how they're going to empower themselves. We can depower them, right, through the way we speak, and that will cause that tshuva, as the Gra says here. Yeah. V'hu Mashiach yotzi mitzarat tzadik. Hu Mashiach ashu achsha b'tzara. Mashiach is here right amongst us right now. Yeah. Our Averas are holding him back. Somewhere in the world, Mashiach is here right now. Who he is exactly, he's hidden, we don't know, but he's somewhere here in the world. If we would be careful about the way we speak, then he would come tomorrow, right? And this is what Moshe Sternbach told me. He said, if people would just stop having Sinus Chinam, and if all Machlokos was ended, and I told you a story a few weeks ago in our Beis Medrash, a group of 50 people, stormed the Beis Medrash and tried to beat somebody up. I got minor injuries from it. Why? Because this group doesn't like that group, and this group doesn't like that group, and this one doesn't talk to that one. And my wife is a shadchan, so they say, well, are you from this group or are you from that group? They can't marry each other because, if you're from that group, I don't want to say, but all of these things, and especially the way they manifest itself in our speech, and people talk about them, and they think there's absolutely no problem. Every single one is holding back to Mashiach. Yeah, every single time. And you know what the thing is? Everybody's l'shem shemayim. When these people came to beat this guy up, they were completely l'shem shemayim, right? L'shem shemayim. Right? That's the problem, right? When someone's l'shem shemayim, then there's nothing to stop them. But really, what they're doing is they're placing another mechitza to Mashiach, and that's what the Gra is saying. It's all holding back the Gula. All of these things are holding back the Gula, and Hashem has graciously, right? We see Atik Yomim. He's graciously in these days made Yishmael say the most outlandish and the most horrible and blasphemous and terrible statements about what they're going to do to Klal Yisrael, and that's our call to action. Yeah, that's our call to action. At this point, right? I remember one summer they shot 5,000 missiles at Eretz Yisrael, and now one hit, I think, or maybe one hit. Someone was Michal Shabbos was killed. Yeah, and they spoke to the Islamic Mufti, and he said we can't hit them because their God is protecting them, right? And they know that when we're down, they can hit them. I know there was in a prison on Pesach, there was a Jewish prisoner eating chametz. They said, now we can get them. One of the Arabs there said, when and the call to action has been made. The fact that they're threatening us, right, that's the best, right? Because that means that they're at the weakest point. They're at the weakest point, we can be at our strongest point. If during this time, we're careful about the way we speak, and this is what Rav Sternbach told me, he said many years ago, but I've heard it many times from him, anyone who has a machlokas, end it immediately, because it's holding back the gula. It's mamash holding back the gula, right? He said, whoever has a machlokas and doesn't end it, it's like Mashiach is knocking on the door, and he's saying, no, I'm sorry, I won't open the door, right? So all of these things that we can accomplish with our dibor, right? When Yishmael is at its weakest point with their dibor, we can really, really stop it. Okay, these are very, very powerful words from the Gra. I think if you read till the end, which we're not going to do now because it's going to take too long, and I want to do the next pasuk, yeah, but it's like such brilliance and such prophetic words for our generation. We see what's going on around us, right? And I said that many times. The Mishnah at the end of Sota says 19 attributes, yeah? And I have a share I can send to you if you like a link to it, right? The 19 attributes of Mashiach that will exist in this time of Mashiach. Every single one is here now, right? The land will give fruit. There'll be chutzpah, just get on the bus. I was on a bus to the Kosel 2 days ago, and World War III almost broke out. This one started screaming, that one started okay, it's Baruch Hashem, Jews, they have a lot of energy. So what? Yeah, Pnei HaKelev Pnei HaDor, right? We want to have leadership. That's what the Chafetz Chaim says, right? The Gra says in the Dor Achron, the leaders of the Jewish people, right, the political leaders will be the Erev Rav. Yeah, it's a pasuk in what's it called? In Vayeshev, yeah. No, Vayishlach, right? Okay. He's talking about. All, but he's talking. Could be. It says there that Bnei Rachel Besof, and then Bnei Leah and Bnei Shvachos. Says the Gra Bnei Rachel Besof. That's the Talmud Chachamim. They'll be hated. Bnei Leah is the Hamanam, and Bnei Shvachos is the Erev, and they will be the leaders in the generation. And we see that. We see what's going on today. We see the leadership of Klal Yisrael is happening. It's all happening in front of our eyes. Everything Chazal predicted is. But we can't say that Mashiach is going to come now. Yeah? Because we can't, right? We have to act on it. The Gra is giving us a call to action. Yishmael now is at their weakest point. They have been hundreds of years on the Makkah and Migdash, and that weakens them. And now when they use their mouth for evil things, which is what they're doing, right? We are at our strongest point. We now, by strengthening ourselves, we can overcome Yishmael and end the Gullus once and for all. Bezrat Hashem, it should be Bakar. Okay. I want to do one more pasuk. It's not directly related, but it is directly related because the Edom, we don't know what the animal is, but Chazal tell us, it's a Rashi at the end of told us, that Esav is compared to a chazer, right? So what's the meaning of a chazer? The chazer has split hooves, right? It holds out its hooves. It's kosher, right? The chazer is the only animal which has external kasher signs, but not internal kasher signs. The Gra says that means they have a kilkul panimi, right? The other animals, which represent the other three gulias, they have the inner kashrus, but not the outer one. That means they have a kilkul chitzoni, meaning their evil is on the outside. But Edom's evil is on the inside. And since their evil is on the inside, it's much harder to detect. Edom walks around we're sophisticated, we're cultured, we believe, that we should make the world a better place for us to live in. And that's the danger of Ishmael. As the Or Sameach, I believe, says it. He says, Achi Esav, right? Achicha Esav says the most dangerous interaction with Edom, right, is when they're nice to us, because then like we get fooled and we get pulled into their way of thinking. So now look at this pasuk.
When you say Edom, you also mean Yishmael?
No, at this point, no. Oh, you're asking a very good question, because the way the Malbim explaining it, it sounds like Yishmael is coming out of Edom. They were Mechutanim, right? They're Mechutanim through what was Basmas or Yehudis? What was it? Machlas? One of them. What? It was the daughter of Yishmael, right? He married the daughter. Asa married what? Basmas, right? Basmas, right? Rav Shalom Shadran used to say, by the way, you have kids in Gan, so they come home with this picture of Asa. He's like this mafia guy with a machine gun, and has like all those necklaces around, an open shirt, right? He says Asa didn't look like that. He wore a strimel, yeah, and he had a long white beard. His head went to Mars Machpelah. Means on an intellectual level, it was just like the Avos and the Amos, yeah, and right. And when he got married, there were pictures all over, posters all over Yerushalayim, right? Kvod Kedusha Za'admor Misayer, Kaddish Esav, he used to ask Shilas about meistering salt and straw, right? And it's just a complete deception.
That's
right?
Much more insidious.
But it's much harder to detect it because Esav is like this very, cool, as we'll see here, in the pasuk, right? Says in pasuk Yud Beis, Chomed Rasha mitzod royim v'shar tzadikim yitain. The Rasha wants to entrap. Yeah, he wants to entrap people. V'shar tzadikim yitain. But the shar tzadikim yitain, the tzadikim will be uproot them. Says the Gra, Ki Rasha tavani be'aver shebein am lamakam. Right. Whenever we use the word Rasha, we're talking about averas that have to do with taiva, which is not between people, it's between Hashem and you. V'derech HaRasha, says the Gra, very important yisod here. Derech HaRasha shebein am lamakam shetivu tov. He's like a really wonderful guy, like these. Okay, to be careful, I'm being recorded. But like the people who are trying to steer you in the wrong direction, they're like very charismatic, and they can talk to you and they say like, we just, I remember when I was in high school, I used to take the subway a lot, and all these people who believe that Jews should worship another religion, they used to come up to me, and I would say, wow, I'm really interested. And can you give me like a lot of pamphlets? I would take them, I would throw them on the train tracks, and then just run away. So, but like they're always like these really nice guys, and they talk to you. We want to be your friends. We love you. We love all people. So that's the danger. That's the danger. So tevu tov va'amar afal pisha teva lefi aniru tov. Right? Even though he looks like a really nice guy, avo be'emes hu chomed gam limtzod shel aroyim. He wants to destroy everybody. Masha royim osim. Yeah. He wants to destroy everything. This guy, he looks really nice. Ulchein Amar Chamet, right? Now, we said there's a Rasha and a Ra. The Rasha is the person who's drawn after physical pleasure, taiva. Chemda is a non-physical pleasure like money, right? Sharoyim Heim Gozlim V'chomsim. They steal and they extort money. Vu'eno Hanazaguf. There's no physical pleasure from that, right? V'shor Tzadikim Al Mi Shaboa Migezet Tzadikim. Someone who comes from good stock from tzaddikim, tivam be'emes litein l'kol lasos topos. He might not come across the most charismatic. Everybody's like following him on YouTube or whatever, but Lamaisa, he's really, really good. He comes from good stock. Excuse me. V'amar shor tzaddikim ki tzadik she'eno migezet tzaddikim ein tivam litein. Right. Very important yisod here from the Gra. Right. Somebody who doesn't come from tzaddikim, he could be a very good person, but he has to break himself. Somebody who's already his ancestors have like worked on their genes and made themselves into givers, right? He always wants to give, right? So a lot of very important ideas here in the Gra, and we'll close with that, right? Again, like we said, Yishmael has come out as either rebellion or response from Galus Edom. Galus Edom is characterized by these traits, by hidden evil. They look really cultured. They look really fine. they look like they're trying to do the right thing, and there are very many righteous Gentiles in the world. I'm not coming to be bigoted here at all, but the danger of Edom really lies in their kindness and their niceness when it's used as a manipulative tactic, right? And that's why we have to be so careful, and that's why the Gullus of Edom has been so long, right? The Gullus of Babel was only 70 years, right? Migdash Rishon was destroyed, right? And the case was given because it was open Averas. The second base of Migdash, Chazal tell us, it was for Sin and Schinam, which is primarily, as we said, Dibor. And the case hasn't been revealed because it's very, very subtle. And the primary danger that we're in is because we're influenced by these two cultures of Adam and Ishmael. They've influenced our actions. They've crept into our lives like very subtly, especially Edom. And our job during these days, as we hear it get louder and louder and louder. Remember, that one horn, which is coming from the head of Edom, which is Yishmael, right? Their downfall is their mouth, and our victory is our mouth, right? So the more we are careful about the way we speak during these days, and the more you hear in the news about what they're saying, every time you hear that, you should take on Bli Neder, Tzima Kabel, 5 minutes, Shmir Salashim. That like you're just knocked out. It's like another horn coming up and knocking out that horn, right? And that's what's going to kill this, destroy Edom and destroy Yishmael. When Edom falls, it seems Yishmael is going to go with them. And this interplay with Edom and Yishmael is very, very deep. It seems like from the fact that Yishmael is being so vocal about destroying Klal Yisrael, so that's going to bring down Edom as well. They're going to fall together with Yishmael, and that's as the Gemara says. From there, as Yotzim Mitzara Hatzadik, right? Mashiach will come from that, right? And it's very, 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 very interesting because Chazal say that Yeshua, the Mashiach, could come with dam or it could come with with yayin, right? It's a pasuk in the at the end of Devarim, dam anavim yishte, right? Dam anavim, right? Dam is bloodshed, anavim is wine of Torah. The Or HaChaim explains, that the gula will either come with blood or it'll come with wine of Torah, right? And Rav Shlomo Breb, the last shir he ever said in our kolel, he spoke out this Or HaChaim. We had the Holocaust. We lost 6 million people, right? Really, that should have been, Gog and Magog, and that should be it. We see today an upsurgence of Torah, right? So Brevna explained this, and this seems to be what the Or HaChaim is saying. Hashem is giving us now an opportunity to bring the Gula through Anavim, through Yayin, and not through blood, right? And therefore, like we said, the more we strengthen ourselves in the way we speak, the more we strengthen ourselves in Torah study, in Tefillah, in Beinam L'Chavero, in the way we interact with other people, the more we are creating the opportunity for the Gula to come through Schos and not through Dam, which is a much, much healthier way, says Or HaChaim, for it to come. And we could really cause the destruction of Yishmael through this channel, right? And that's incredible. It's really amazing that we have in our hands. Just don't be deceived by the news, and this and that, and this one says this and this one says that. It's all a lot of rubbish, right? When you hear that, you should think what we need to do now really is guard your tongue. Guard your tongue and be careful how you speak. And when you use, I heard a brilliant thing from Rav Victor Miller. He said once, he had at the end of his shiur, he asked questions. So someone asked him, you only have a certain amount of words, the Rav said, right? So maybe you should be very careful every word you speak, even in Torah. He said, no. He said, say as many words in Torah and Tefillah as possible, and Hashem will give you more and more and more, right? We said this many times on the Gra. The Gra says, what's Ruach HaKodesh? Ruach is your speech, Ruach Mamalo, right? And your emotions, but primarily your speech. The more you sanctify your speech, the more you elevate your Ruach, and that's called Ruach HaKodesh. Eventually you get to a point where you can, be like Rav Chaim Kanievsky or his Rebbetzin Kaladetsky, where you can really, really understand things very, very well. But the more every word that comes out of your mouth, right? If it's a positive word, your Ruach goes up. If it's a negative word, your Ruach goes down, right? Ruach HaKodesh means that you've lifted your Ruach very, very high to a point where it's holy. And then you sanctify your ruach, and Hashem gives you very, very great gifts as a result. And this is really our avoda right now. Right? This is really our avoda right now. And look, we always try to end this year with a Kabbalah, right? With the Kabbalah. Shemir Salashim, right? How to do it exactly? What do you say? What should we do? I think, look, I really think 5 minutes a day, just pick 5 minutes, which is hard. The best thing is if you have one phone call every day with your parent, with your spouse, with your child, one phone call a day. See, one of the biggest problems with Kabbalahs is that just don't do them, right? But if you pick like for one slot of the day, right, one phone call every day, speak to your spouse, your brother, your sister, your parents, your friends, whatever. That phone call, just be careful during that phone call. I remember on my cell phone one time I wrote, lashon haras, or al telech uchil ba'mecha, or something like that. So you look at it and say, better be careful. Just don't bring it to the bathroom. You have to put it in a case. But that's like a really, really powerful thing. And if we would like be able to see what's happening, the pasuk says, "Eile berekev ve'eile besusim and Shem Hashem Elokeinu haskir." They're coming with their chariots, their horses and their chariots, and the bomb. The bomb we know they can like blow up the entire world, and they say they have it already, right? So they have a bomb, but what makes the bomb blow up is Shem Hashem. Saying the Shem Hashem, right, and saying it, thinking about when you daven, when you make a bracha, and saying the Mefarshim say the reason we finish Shemona Esrei with a kind Tzur is because if you don't guard your tongue, then your tefillah is absolutely worthless. Yeah, you daven all Shemona Esrei, but if it came out of a mouth which was like filled with lashon hara, you're better off not davening. So that the first thing we say after Shemona Esrei is a kind Tzur. Pick one phone call a day, and preferably the same person every day, and just be cognizant of what you're saying and how you're saying it, and to be menaked. And when you do that, like Yishmael is like, forget about it. Like that's like 5,000 bombs and machine guns against them. It's like the most powerful weapon. That's right? Sanctifying our lashon, that's the Shem Hashem. That's the Shem Hashem, and it's the most powerful weapon we have. Kol Yaakov Yadayim the Esav, right? Is that the Chazal tells when we use our kol properly, then the Yadayim of Esav are tied up and they have no power. Hashem should give us great siyata d'shmaya to be successful in this endeavor. And look, next week's shir should be hopefully with the Bias Goyal. We're so close, Whenever I speak to our Sturmbach, and others as well, we're just like 1 millimeter away, but we just need to do that, that 1 millimeter. And Hashem will give us the Yad Shema, making it so. Yeah.